Well, hey guys, greetings and salutations. Welcome to our special Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1, open spoiler discussion, return of the fucking space whales. Woo! They're back, ladies and gentlemen. Free Willy in fucking space. Yeah! So excited about that. Anyway, guys, welcome to the show. My name is John Campea. It's good to have you here as we are going to talk about Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1 in all of its open, spoilery goodness. In case I did not just completely give it away, this is going to be an open spoiler discussion. That means we're going to talk in all the details about the episode of Mandalorian, Episode 1 of Season 3. So if you have not seen that episode yet, you might want to just add this video to your favorites list and come on back a little bit later. Otherwise, you have been warned. All right, let's get into some blowhole goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Mandalorian has returned to a lot of excitement. Obviously, I was really excited for this thing coming back. I love this show. And, you know, we mentioned today earlier on the John Campea show, when we were doing our non-spoilery kind of way, that I like this. I think this was a good start to the season. But Ray had pointed out that he thought it was the weakest of the 3 season premieres. You know, Season 1, Episode 1, Season 2, Episode 1, and now Season 3, Episode 1. And I think I agree. I mean, Episode 1 of the first Mandalorian was pretty good, but it got great with Baby Yoda showing up. Right? Baby Yoda showing up made that episode great. So yeah, I would say this. I would agree. I think this is the weakest of the season premieres, but still a very good episode. And like, come on, show of hands. Who else was fooled at the beginning?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Come on, that was I completely bought into the idea that was a flashback. When they start off on the little beach, the little John the Baptist Mandalorian, you know, getting ready to baptize that little kid who looked nothing like Pedro Pascal. I guess that should have been our first clue. The kid looked nothing like Pedro Pascal and was getting ready to christen him into the world of the Mandalore and the way. And then, yeah, but I got to admit, though, how well do they know this area? If this little lake, it's this freaking giant damn lizard lake. What's the name of the giant lizard in the Rampage video game? What's that one?
Lizzie?
Lizzie?
I think so.
Yeah, that freaking Lizzie is living in this thing. This thing that's the size of 4 skyscrapers. Yeah, nobody thought, hey, maybe we should have a couple of Mandalorians floating up in the air to keep an eye in case freaking Lizzie decides to wake up, getting ready for a date with the space whales. I mean, I just, that was kind of funny. But still, this incredible battle breaks out. I love I like that. And, you know, this incredible space battle breaks out, or a battle between the Mandalorians and the giant freaking Lizzie lizard, and they take the sky, planting grenades on it and all that kind of stuff. It was pretty cool. I'm not exactly sure why they didn't all just fly away. I mean, get the children to run up the rocks. Here's an idea. You have jetpacks. How about you grab a kid and fly him up to the top of a mountain somewhere? But no, maybe they got to learn the lesson on their own. It might be. Run.
Oh, I'm sorry, John. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be a part of this after show, but
but you're here.
I'm sorry. It might be because they're defending their land. I mean, if that thing stays there, that thing is gone. That means you have to fight for your land back. That's where the armorer's lair is, right? Well,
it was a cave and some rocks. And couldn't you kind of like get the kids to safety? There's Lizzie. Couldn't you have regrouped and then come back with a plan and attacked it then?
But they're hard-headed. Like
they're hard-headed, but it is what it is still. Then when Din's ship shows up, that freaking Naboo Corvette special shows up there, and it was like, and I had that aha moment. Oh, this isn't a flashback. That was a pretty cool moment. That was a really neat way to start the episode. Anyway, then he gets out and he's like, hell yeah. Like, he shows up and he's like, that's right. That's my interest. Like, mic drop for Din. And then, you know, she goes into the cave. Armor goes in the cave, keeps working away. In comes Din. Now, I got to say, that conversation he has with her when he goes into the cave and she's like, you took off your helmet. You are Mandalorian no more. I was thinking, well, yeah, we've had this conversation, Armorer. We've seen this exact conversation, and you can't be redeemed. And he says, yes, but the creed teaches us you can be redeemed down in the sacred waters of Mandalore. To which I was expecting her to say, yeah, I'm the one who told you that, asshole. I'm the one who told you about, you go down and wash yourselves in the magical elixir mermaid-infested waters down there where there may or may not be space whales. Go on down to those waters. I'm the one who told you that. So that kind of hit me as a little bit weird that they were having this conversation. And, when you go back, the armor is like, you can be redeemed if you bathe in the waters of Mandalore. And he goes, but the Mandalore is destroyed. She's like, this is the way. All right. Well, they had that conversation. And now it's like he's telling her that. And she's like, but it's impossible. It can't be done. It's like, you're the one who told him that that's what he needs to do. But then one of our viewers on the show this morning brought up a really, really, really good point in that what if you didn't? Because that scene where the armorer explains to Din what he needs to do, that happened in the Book of Boba Fett. And what happened if you're a viewer who's not watching Book of Boba Fett, you're just watching the Mandalorian show. You don't want that viewer to be lost. So you make them have that conversation again so that it's not required, if you're a viewer, that you have to go back and watch the Book of Boba Fett again, or watch the Book of Boba Fett at all, which you should not have your friends, if you're a good friend, don't make them watch Book of Boba Fett. It's a bad show. By recreating that conversation again, they took away the need for there to be a prerequisite to go back and watch Book of Boba Fett. And that was a really, really good point that one of our viewers brought up. And I like that a lot. And it made me appreciate the scene more. Again, I even like the little extra angle where he pulled like a little Indiana Jones. Is this crystal not with the inscriptions of the Mandalore on it or something like that? I thought that little angle on there too, bringing up the Jawas again, saying this was from a Jawa who got it from a trader who said he got it from the surface of Mandalore and all that kind of stuff. So that was pretty groovy. And then they go to Nevarro, which of course we know every season of Mandalorian at some point is going to end up on Nevarro because Apollo Creed needs to get his FaceTime in. We need Apollo Creed to have his FaceTime. Carl Weathers is great in this show. So they get there. And you know what? By the way, I read a great interview or a great article the other day about this where Jon Favreau specified that they acknowledge they haven't done a great job of this, but a lot of time passes in this show. And Favreau was mentioning to one of the reporters that years have passed since Din first found Baby Yoda. Because the way the show runs, like you could be a viewer of this show and think that it's been 3 months since Din came across Baby Yoda. But according to Jon Favreau, no, it's been years. Like years have passed. And that kind of explains when you get to Nevarro and it's like a completely different town now. It's totally evolved and all that kind of stuff. And that makes it make a lot more sense. Of course, it comes across Reef because he needs to get IG-11. That's the name of the robot, right?
Yeah.
IG-11. He needs IG-11. And okay, they came up with an interesting narrative reason why they need him. It's like, look, if I'm going to be scanning the surfaces of a supposedly poisoned Mandalore, I'm going to need IG-11. And you know what? They even because I heard some people say, well, why doesn't he just get another droid? Remember, go back to season 1. Din did not and does not trust droids at all. Remember that? It's been a while, but let's remember that. Din does not trust droids at all. And IG-11 was the first one that he truly trusted. Obviously because of the reprogramming of little Nick Nolte, little pig-faced Nick Nolte, reprogramming IG-11. Making him an adorable little babysitter. And so that actually laid the foundation of a good narrative purpose about, number one, why he needed IG-11, because of his worries about the surface of Mandalore, and why he wouldn't just get another droid, because IG-11 is the first and only droid he's ever trusted. Okay, that makes sense. That being said, gentlemen, I pose this to you. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to Ray and Taylor here. Uh-huh. I can only imagine the conversation that happens when at some point Din is able to collect whatever device they use. By the way, if it's just some processor wouldn't this be a readily available thing? Like, isn't there like Star Wars Amazon? They can just jump on and get some, like, if it's just like, there's a lot of droids. Couldn't a lot of them have this piece? Anyway, once Din gets whatever little piece of technology he needs to revive and restore IG-11, I want to hear that conversation. Oh, Din, thank you for being such a good friend that you would bring me back and save me. Wait a minute. It's been 3 years since I blew up? You've had the ability to bring me back this whole time? And you haven't brought me back in 3 years? Why not? Well, now I need you. You only brought me back. You've had me standing as a statue in fucking Times Square when you had the ability to bring me back anytime the last 3 years. Oh, but now that you need me, now you bring me back. I get it. I get it. It's like when Ray pops over for a visit, and I gotta ask. So what's on HBO that you're waiting to watch, Ray? What's on HBO that you're waiting to watch?
Velma.
Yeah.
Now you come over for a visit.
But I come with all the instructions printed already all over me. You can see exactly what I'm there. I don't try to hide it. The first thing I do is I don't even say hi. I walk in, I sit down, I said, "Hey, can I use your HBO Max?" And then I'll turn it. Even if you say no, I'll watch my thing and I'll leave.
First you go into my fridge.
Yeah, and I don't even take off my shoes. I don't even close the door. If you guys are eating something, we are eating that thing now.
So, and then of course, because everybody loved Babu Freak, they had to bring in a little race of Babu Freaks, and that's fine. That they're known as the great technologists. That works, and there you are, cute and adorable
With the small hands.
And they got small little hands. I gotta admit, that shot of then when the camera goes wide and there were a little repair shop, and you see that Din is like sitting crouched over in the little little works. That was pretty
I didn't get
funny.
that at first. Then I understood after a while.
Oh, and how many, this image right here, how many Sideshow collectible figures of this are they going to sell?
You know, Ray told me he's going to get that as a lower back tattoo after this after show today.
Actually, I think it looks like Babu Freak is getting a lower back tattoo from he's getting tattooed up in there, right there. Huh? There you go. It's not so Baby Yoda anymore.
Hey, be grateful that I'm not eating you like the frog.
For some reason, I hear Careless Whispers playing when I look at that image.
Careless Whisper. I mean, but okay, all honesty, now that you guys have totally ruined the innocence of this beautiful moment. This totally innocent, beautiful moment.
To him, though? They just met. What is that?
You soiled this beautiful moment.
Explain to me what that hug is then. I've never experienced
He's
a hug from a stranger like that.
But it's adorable. I've seen you pick up the puppies and hug them like that.
But like that? Look at Babu Freak's face. He is frightened. You don't hug people when they look like that. And look at Baby Yoda. He's like, yeah,
I think Taylor
I'll
lost
be
the
done in a
picture.
minute.
Hold on.
I'm just kidding.
Where'd he go?
So, I mean, they go through all that, and look, this, oh, there it is again. Why does it look like the little Babu Freak is giving the El Coronado? Yeah, like I say, metal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, now that, again, we have totally destroyed this beautiful, adorable little moment that should be selling millions of toys.
Another perspective.
They follow the general Mandalorian formula of there is a quest, and then much like a Dungeons and Dragons game, there's a quest, and then along the way, sub-quests appear. This is the same formula as a lot of video games too, right? It's like, okay, we've got to get the Shield of Eternium. Okay. Hey, I need to find the Shield of Eternium. Can you tell me where to get it? Well, I have a map to where you might be able to find it, but for me to give you this map, I want you to do a little something for me. Go collect 5 mushrooms of the sun. All right, so now you go on the side quest. It's not really a side, it was a sub quest. Pick up this 5 mushrooms of the sun. You find the 5 mushrooms of the sun, but they're being gardened by an ogre. And the ogre says, you cannot have my 5 mushrooms of the sun unless you first get me the wheelbarrow of insanity. And then you go, all right, well, I'm going to go. So in the game, you go and get the wheelbarrow of insanity, which you then use to give to the ogre to get the mushrooms of the sun, which you then use to get the map to the whatever it was I just said they're looking for in the first place. The Shield of Eternium, that was it. To go find the Shield of Eternium, right? So it's this plot, quest, subplot, subplot formula that we've seen them do in Mandalorian before. Remember Frog Lady? There it is. There's the wheelbarrow of insanity. The wheelbarrow of insanity. But they did this before Mandalorian, right? Remember? It's like the Lady Frog was going to help him, but in order for the Lady Frog to help him first, he's got to help her get her tadpoles or husband or whatever it was. Common Mandalorian story following, common overall like adventuring. You get plot, subplot, subplot. So they're setting that up very quickly in the episode. Okay, then we meet the pirates. The frickin' Pirates of Penzance. I'm waiting for this guy to break into, I am the very model of a modern major general. Only some of you remotely got that reference. But anyway, good on you if you did. So they run into the pirates. And of course, pirates are two-dimensional. Scratch that. One-dimensional. Arr! We're here to drink alcohols in the schools with the kiddies. We don't care. Like, okay, whatever. But they're pirates. So pirates be pirating. It's all good. So they go through all that thing. Grief, they wanted to show off Grief is still a badass. He can still outdraw you and just shoot the gun out of your hand. And then you can walk away and live if you want. But, the other guys get silly and they get foolish and they're going to pull their weapons too. And of course, Grief and Din gun them all down. And there you go. So that showed that up. But let me tell you my one, oh, come on moment in the episode. It came at this point. Grief, High Commission. What's his title? High what?
Oh,
High
dealer?
Oh, shoot.
High magistrate?
yes.
Yeah,
yes,
Magistrate? Okay. The high magistrate, Grief, he has been around for a while. He knows the game. He was a bounty hunter administrator. He's a killer. He's all these things. And when Din says to him, you sure it's a good idea to let that guy go? Din was saying out loud what all of us were thinking. This doesn't seem wise. This doesn't seem like it's going to have a good ending, just letting this one go. I mean, at the very least, you have the magistrate of this place, get him thrown in jail. No, just let him go. And Din says to him, hey, was this a good idea to let him go? And Grief says, no, he'll now take word out that what happens when you trifle with Nevarro and everybody will stay away now. And I'm thinking, you can't be that fucking gullible. You can't be that stupid. That is never how this works. And I remember it bothered me a bit because Grief is, of course, an experienced guy who should know this shit. And of course, it comes back to bite them in the ass again a little bit later. Anyway, so now with his sub-quest, right? Main quest, get to Mandalore. Sub-quest, need IG-11. Sub-quest, need to get this part so they can fix IG-11. So with all that now laid out and all that in place, Din and Baby Yoda, and I know Din at one point corrects Grief by saying Grogu. His name's Grogu. Nah, fuck you. His name's Baby Yoda. So Baby Yoda and Din, oh, by the way, that was an adorable part when he uses his force powers to get the candy. I love the orange Reese's Pieces. So they get in the ship, they take off. There's a great little father-son kind of moment. He goes, hey, being a Mandalorian is about more than just knowing how to fight. You got to navigate your way around the galaxy and all that great stuff. And of course, the pirates show up. And a little space battle ensues, which was really good, by the way. I like that. That was a thrilling, that whole a very Empire Strikes Back kind of reminiscence in there as they're weaving in and out of the asteroid belt and all that kind of stuff. And then coming out and seeing the big mothership of the pirates and frickin' Swamp Thing's illegitimate son. Yeah, there is David Jones. The Swamp Thing and Davy Jones's illegitimate child together is sitting there, which, by the way, I like the Pirate King.
Yeah.
I like him. I'm looking forward to the Pirate King coming back. So they have a little bit exchange. Din gets away. So now we've got quest, sub-quest, sub-sub-quest, and secondary antagonist for the series. Because obviously the space pirate is not going to be the main antagonist of the series. But we have our secondary antagonist for the season all set up in the first episode. Listen, I got to tell you, it was a very efficient. They covered a lot of ground in this one episode. Like, again, all the plot, subplot, subplot, or quest, subplot, quest, subquest, secondary character, all this. They did a lot in one episode. And we didn't even talk about the fact that he goes and shows up at Bo-Katan's place, sitting in her chair. All was missing was a cup of cognac, or what do you call the alcohol? It's not cognac. What's it called?
Cognac.
Cognac. I don't drink alcohol. That's why I don't know this. All she needed was a little hand of cognac right there. Bo-Katan still being all pissy that she doesn't have the dark saber. But she's justified in feeling that way, because by not getting the dark saber, her entire life's dream of being able to go back and liberate Mandalore is kind of down the toilet. So there's that. But, she gives him the directions. Here's where you go if you want to try to find the waters of Mandalore so you can go and scrub your junk in it. Go for it. This is where you're going to find it. So, okay, so that part was accomplished. Again, an awful lot of stuff accomplished, despite the fact that, man, these freaking episodes are short. These episodes are short. And again, maybe I wouldn't have felt it as much if I haven't been getting so accustomed to sitting down and watching Pedro Pascal in an episode of The Last of Us, where a 48-minute episode is a short episode. Minus the credits, this episode was 28 minutes. And man, you felt it. Because when the credits started to roll, I felt like I just got comfortable. Right? Like, I feel like I just got comfortable. I got my drink sitting exactly where I want it to sit. Anne's leaning against my shoulder. She's all comfy. Watching Mandalorian. As soon as we're settled in, it's like, what? It's over? I mean, look, this is a long-standing criticism I have of Disney Plus and their shows, other than Andor, which, by the way, is probably the better Star Wars show, is Andor. But is a standing criticism I have of all the Disney Plus shows, is these ridiculously short runtimes. But that aside, I thought a really good, solid start to the season. They set up a hell of a lot of stuff. I'm excited to see IG-11 come back. I'm excited to see more space battles with this pirate. I can't wait to see more Bo-Katan. Whatever. The fucking space whales are going to be there, I guess, to some degree. Now, listen, I'm seeing a lot of people saying, well, the space whales were there so we can set up the return of Ezra. I don't know that Ezra returns in this season. Other than the fact that you've got the, what's the one girl's name again? The artist Mandalorian girl from Rebels. Why am I freezing on her name?
Sabine? No.
Sabine.
Yeah,
Sabine
Wren.
Wren. Other than the fact that Sabine is in and of herself a Mandalorian who was once the possessor. For those of you who have not seen the Rebels show, she was once the possessor of the Darksaber. I don't really see a connection here, but maybe, or maybe they're just reminding everybody that the space whales are there. With their little freaky tentacles. So maybe that's the case. That could be. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that if that's what they're doing. They're setting up. I mean, I really like Rebels. I love the Ezra character. And if they do set it up, that's Sabine, Ahsoka, Ezra. But I really got a feeling the finding and rescuing of Ezra is going to be the main part and the main story of Ahsoka, the Ahsoka series. I might be wrong about that. It might be about something totally different, and maybe they find Ezra here, but I don't think they are. But, whatever, it is what it is. So, guys, listen, those are my thoughts of this first pretty damn solid episode of The Mandalorian for Season 3, Episode 1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go on to the important part of the show. We want to hear what you guys have to say about this episode of Mandalorian. And we've got the super chats open. Oh, no, we don't have them open anymore. Sorry, they got filled up. But you guys have sent in a whole ton of super chats. We're going to get to those in just a second. But we're going to thank a couple of sponsors of this episode of our open spoiler discussion of The Mandalorian, our friends at Rocket Money and my mobile phone provider, and they should be yours, Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. The average person has around 12 paid subscriptions. Think about that. If you think you're only subscribed to a handful of services, you might want to double check. With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify and cancel all of your unwanted subscriptions. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want and don't even use. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as the click of a button. My wife Ann and I moved out of Burbank 2 years ago, and one of the first things I discovered when I loaded up Rocket Money was that I was still paying for a gym membership I haven't even been to in Burbank in 2 years. So stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. If saving more and spending less is one of your top goals for 2023, why are you still paying insane amounts of money every month for your phone bill? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know I made the switch over to Mint Mobile a while ago. The process couldn't have been easier, and I can't believe that I am spending less than a third of what I was spending on one of the other major carriers before. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All plans come with unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and switch easily in minutes with eSIM. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Rocket Money and, of course, the wonderful people over at Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of our Mandalorian Aftershow. All right, guys, with that stuff down and out of the way, let's get into the important stuff, what you guys have to say. So, Taylor, what do we got up here first?
All right, up first we have Bert. Who else was thrown off by the fake flashback?
100%. I was. I fully admit it. They completely got me. Like when Din Ship showed up, it was like, what? Like it well done. It was a really, really good misdirect. I thought they executed it well. All right, what's next?
All right, next up we have A. Marcellus. As soon as I saw the space whales, I laughed out loud and said, "This is going to piss John off." You did not disappoint with your reaction. Palpatine wants the hate to flow through you.
I'm sorry. The space, look, I love Rebels. I love that show. Space whales are stupid. You will never convince me otherwise. The whole conceit and concept of space whales is stupid. It's one of the, other than the midichlorians, it's one of the dumbest things Star Wars have ever done. But whatever, they'll find a good use for it. I have a lot of faith in Jon Favreau and co. They'll find a good use for it. But yeah, space whales are so stupid. Anyway, all right, what's next?
All right, next up is Marie Seifring. The battle with the creature. What a way to open the episode. Jon Favreau wrote a great script for this episode.
It was a banger way to start the season. Like, because I remember going back, I think it was episode or season 2, guys, that they fight the sand dragon.
Oh, the crate dragon, yeah.
The crate dragon, right? Mm-hmm. That was thrilling and great. So they kind of recreated that a little bit here. I thought it looked great. I thought it was exciting and thrilling and a very clever misdirect. So yeah, it was a banger way to start the season. It was well done. All right, what's next?
All right, next up we have Marie Reich. The moment the kid was about to say, "I won't ever remove my helmet," and then the space whale interrupted, I wonder if that will come back into play later on in the season because he didn't fully say it.
I think that was also a part of the misdirect. Because I was totally wrong, but I'm going to tell you exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, okay, they had us all convinced that that was little Din, right? And I thought they were setting up a thing where in this flashback, Din never finished the creed. He never finished actually swearing the oath to the Mandalorian creed. And I thought in that moment that, oh, this is going to be his path to redemption because he never actually swore the oath. And now he's going to do something. And at the end of the season, they're going to recreate his baptism again in those waters. Hopefully Lizzie the dragon is out of there by that time. They're going to recreate it. But then again, they shattered that illusion when Din actually shows up. So I don't know if they're going to go back to that again. I don't think they were setting anything up. I think that just went into enforcing the misdirect, which I got to admit, I fully admit it 100% worked on me. All right, what's next?
All right, next up we have Maurice Seafring back again. So because he has the black saber, Din is now going to become the leader of the movement to recover Mandalore. Interesting. Maybe the two sects can reconcile.
I mean, I still believe that at the end of the day, the Darksaber is going to get back into the hands of Bo-Katan. And I don't think that Mando, and I could, by the way, I could be 100% wrong about this, but I don't see Mando as having any interest in being the leader. I think, but the big problem right now is that according to Moff Gideon, the only way that Bo-Katan can come back into possession of the Darksaber is to defeat Din in combat. And I wonder if we're not going to get into a sub quest in this season where Din tries to find a way that he can legitimately pass the Darksaber on to her. So I don't really know if he's going to, but he's definitely going to play a role in bringing all the Mandalorians back together to retake Mandalore. He's definitely going to play a role. Whether he's the leader doing that or whether he is, getting Bo-Katan back to her rightful place to being that, we'll have to wait and find out. But it's going to be interesting to see which way they go with it. All right, what's next?
Next up is Sam Fisher. I don't know why, but Mando looked different to me. Shorter and stockier, and the armor didn't quite fit. Maybe it was a different actor in the actual suit.
I think they brought back the same two guys. Remember, they've always had two body doubles for Din that do most of the on-set acting. One guy is a Hollywood-trained gunfighter guy. The other guy is a physical combat guy. And I believe I read that it's been the same two guys for all 3 seasons. I might be incorrect about that, but I think it's the same guys. Could be wrong, though. I'll take a little bit of a closer look at that next time I watch the episode again. All right, interesting observation. What's next?
Jose Meyer says, Purrgil appearing in hyperspace is a hint for Ezra.
Again, I don't think that it is. I don't think Ezra comes to play a part in this. It might have just been a little bit of a reminder to the audience or just an interesting visual cue. Hey, they're in hyperspace. Fucking space whales is something that's in Star Wars now. Never been before, but now they're there. You go into hyperspace, you might see space whales. Okay, sure. All right, what's next?
All right, next up is Bert. Resurrected IG went full-blown Terminator 1 mode.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea that when he woke up in a previous state. That, hey, that little creature is the object of the contract. It's a termination contract. Kill it. And I kind of like the way, too, that Mando also said, listen, if he comes back and he's got all of his limbs and everything, I don't know that I can handle him. So that was actually a pretty cool little nod. I like that. All right, what's next?
Up next is Boon Lee Tan. I'd see a Rick Famuyiwa Star Wars movie or TV show.
Me too. He's done a really good job. Now, listen, my favorite direction in the Mandalorian season so far has been Bryce Dallas Howard's direction. She also was the one, not only did she do some fabulous episodes of Mandalorian, she was the one who did the best episode of Book of Boba Fett. So her number one, Taika Waititi number 2, because I know all I ever do wants to go, what about Thor: Love and Thunder? Whatever, get over yourself. He did a fabulous job when he would have the Mandalorian to helm. So that, and Rick would be right up there too, because Rick has done a great job as well. All right, what's next?
All right, next up, Murray Reich sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Murray.
It's interesting that the previously on segment only included the moment where the armorer tells Mando he's a Mandalorian no more, but nothing of how Mando meets Grogu again. Seems out of place for those that never watched Book of Boba Fett.
You know what? I didn't even think about that, but you're absolutely right. They absolutely should have taken about 15 seconds of the previously on or previously in the story of Mandalorian. They should have summed up in like 15 seconds or so those events that took place during Mandalorian 2.5, aka Book of Boba Fett. They should have done that. I didn't even think about that, but you're 100% right. They absolutely should have done that because that is pretty key. I mean, they showed IG-11 sacrificing himself. Now, granted, that was all the way back in season 1. So yeah, you got to be reminded of that. That was a little bit ago now, but kind of reminding us to the audience about why Din would trust this one droid over any others. So I appreciated that, but I think Murray raises an absolutely 100% valid point. They should have probably covered a little bit of the events of Book of Boba Fett to catch everybody up to speed. It's a good point. I didn't even think about it, but you're absolutely right. All right, what's next?
Murray Reich asks, so John, did you yell out in the moment in the episode, "Hello, I'm Babu Freak"?
Who
LOL.
didn't? I am Babu Freak. Everybody did. Come on. Now, it wasn't Babu, of course, just a bunch of members of his own race. But, you know, it was, at first I thought, oh, this is such blatant fan service. Let's take the one redeeming thing about The Last Skywalker, or the Rise of Skywalker. Let's take the one redeeming thing of that movie that people seem to like, Babu Freak. And let's now put a little clan of them in there. And I thought, well, and listen, if there's anything The Mandalorian as a series has been consistently guilty of, is throwing in rather pointless fan service a lot. Like, why did they have to be back on Tatooine? I don't know, because people remember the bar. Everybody remembers the cantina, everybody. They have been consistently guilty of pointless cameos, pointless fan service, and amidst all the great stuff that they do. And at first I thought, here we go again, just random pointless fan service by having Babu Freak in here. But it actually did narratively completely make sense for what the subquest that Din is on, that they would be the experts in that area and on the planet there. That narratively made sense. So I actually, even though it first struck me, there it is again. Even though at first, look at that mustache. Even though it did at first strike me as really pathetic fan service, by the time they got into what they were doing, I'm like, you know what? No, this makes sense. This fits the narrative, and I'm okay with it. All right, what's next?
All right, up next is Gunny0813. Really loved this episode, and it didn't skip a beat. Loved all the Star Wars Easter eggs. I can see a fight for Darksaber with Bo-Katan later on.
Yeah, and again, I honestly think that's going to become a significant point of this season, is the transferring of the Darksaber back into the hands of Bo-Katan. And how does that happen? How does it work? Is it going to be a mechanism that Din discovers? I have discovered in this ancient text, sealed beneath the crystals of as I bathed my junk in the waters of Mandalore, I came across this ancient tablet that I was scrubbing my giblies with, and in this ancient tablet, it described how the Darksaber can pass from one Mandalorian to another without combat. I don't know, like whether it's gonna be that or maybe they legit listen. Bo-Katan is freaking Bo-Katan, so maybe they do set it up where they relieve themselves of their weapons and they say, we're just going straight one-on-one combat, and maybe Bo-Katan bests him. Or they find a way around it. I don't know, but I do think that's going to become a major point of plot moving forward in the series at some point. All right, what's next?
Johnny Weiner. His name is Grogu. Thank you. Never liked Baby Yoda.
No, it's Baby Yoda. You can call him whatever. You can call him Grogu. You can call him Bill. You can call him whatever you want. It's Baby Yoda. At least it is to me. All right, what's next?
All right, next up is A-Rod 2006. You think we will see Sabine help Mando and Bo-Katan?
No, but again, it would not be outside of feasibility, since she was the possessor of the Darksaber. She is Mandalorian. So there are narrative avenues that they could do it. I personally think they'll save her for Ahsoka. But again, the narrative doors are there. Whether they decide to walk through those doors or not, we'll see. All right, what's next?
Raymond Verada. I thought Baby Yoda was going to eat Babu Freak. I thought he was going to put on a little bib too and eat him.
That's what I thought they were going to do. I thought it was going to be a harken back to the whole toads and the frogs and the little creatures. I thought he was literally going to force choke him, like not dark side force choke, but like force used to lift him in the air, tilt his head back, open the gullet. And I thought that's what they're going to do. They went with something a little bit more adorable that Ray then ruined. All right, what's next?
Next up is Steven. I thought this was a solid first episode. I just didn't like Mando suddenly leaving Nevarro alone with those pirates and that giant ship looming. That will be an issue going forward, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you and I are all sitting at home and we're a bunch of blubbering idiots and we knew full well, as soon as he gets into orbit, there's going to be space pirates there waiting for him. Like, if we could figure that out, Grief should have known the moment he let the one guy go that that's exactly what was going to happen, or something worse. And Mando clearly would have been, all right, we're leaving orbit now, but, you know, we got to stay alert because we did let those pirates go and there's going to be more of them around here somewhere. So that was a little bit of an odd thing, but it did result in a really fun space battle, something we don't get a lot of in Mandalorian. So it resulted in something pretty fun. We get introduced to a sub-antagonist, this Dread Pirate Roberts, pirate guy who's definitely going to come back to play a role moving on. So it did serve a purpose, but I wish they had just made Din and Grief a little smarter about it. All right, what's next?
From Bert, showdown at bar turned school was peak Western.
Yeah, it really was. It was classic Western. And listen, Jon Favreau has never been shy about just throwing in these really great homages to classic Western tropes. And we see a lot of that in there. And by the way, the whole quest subquest thing is a part of the Western trope as well. So yeah, that was peak Western right there. You're 100% right about that. All right, what's next?
Next up is Cody Carroll. Thanks to this show, my wife finally likes Star Wars.
Nice.
I've tried for 8 years to get her to like it. She has now watched all of the movies. There is the awkwardness of her calling Mando/Pedro daddy. I have that same issue, Cody.
Listen, season 1, episode 1 of The Mandalorian converted a lot of people to being Star Wars fans that had not normally been Star Wars fans. That includes like my frickin' sister-in-law, Ray and Ann's sister. Not like her husband, my brother-in-law, who is also a Canadian, by the way, a big Star Wars fan. But, you know, Olive, I don't know if you knew this, Ray. She's all about that Baby Yoda life.
Oh, she is.
She frickin' loves Baby Yoda. And I have met and talked to a lot of people, especially back when the first season was out, who's like, yeah, no. Like, listen, the little clips of Baby Yoda started getting out online. That created a whole new segment of people watching Mandalorian who were not people who watched anything else Star Wars. It created a whole new thing because that freaking little green thing has printed them nothing but money. Nothing but money. And it's adorable. Baby Yoda is adorable. And by the way, the whole mystery surrounding his origins, how did he get out of the Jedi Temple? So he's not just a cute little creature design. There's actually a lot of fascinating narrative surrounding Baby Yoda. And so it's just a strike of genius coming up with this character. All right, what's next?
All right, next up is Daniel Vacara. I liked the episode, but didn't love it. It fell short where it was 31 and a half minutes without the recap and credits. That just isn't great.
And you know, listen, I've always thought the episodes are too short. That being said, when we were getting close to the end of season 2, I kind of had adjusted to it a little bit, right? Like your internal clock adjusts to it and you kind of know when to expect the episode to end. My problem, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, was that I've become accustomed now to sitting down and watching Pedro Pascal in The Last of Us. That has, listen up, Disney, real length episodes of a show. And so going from that and then really hard shifting gears without hitting the clutch to go right back into Mandalorian length episodes, that I'm going to admit, it was very, very jarring to me. It was very, very jarring to me. But again, after we watch a few episodes of it, I'm sure our internal clocks, but again, yeah, I do think it's too short. They make these, if you're going to make these shows, make them weekly event television. Weekly event television is not 28 minutes. So I would love to see, it's at this point, they're in season 3. They're never going to change it, but man, I would love it if they did. All right, what's next?
All right, next up is Raymond Verrata. Apollo Creed and Adonis Creed on the same week.
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny watching Creed 3 and then coming in and watching Apollo doing that next thing. By the way, side note, watching Creed 3, total side note. One of the things me and Ray were talking about was, man, the absence of Sylvester Stallone was really noticeable in that movie. Like it was really, especially in a couple of scenes. And then yesterday before Mandalorian, Ann and I rewatched Creed's 1 and 2. And that just made Sylvester Stallone's absence from 3 even that more obvious. Anyway, total side note there, but yeah, Apollo Creed. All right, what's next?
All right, next up is Mickey Bell. Solid episode. Love the Rebels reference with the space whales. So did John. That's going to be critical going forward and heading into Ahsoka for sure.
It's not critical. It's not critical at all. They did not, for them to go into Ahsoka, they did not need to have the space whales there in hyperspace. They didn't need it. Listen, it was a reminder. And to be honest, if these freaking space fish are going to be, John, whales aren't fish. I know, but if these freaking space fish are going to be a part of the story in Ahsoka, then it's not a terrible idea to remind everybody about them while they're in hyperspace. And listen, maybe they will or won't come into play in this season of Mandalorian. We won't have to wait until Ahsoka. But it was not essential. Let's be clear about that. It was not essential. All right, what's next?
All right, up next is Daniel Vacara. The Mandalorians really need to watch Starship Troopers and learn how to throw the bombs in the monster's mouth. Just a terrible strategy.
Yeah, listen, I let a lot of that pass because the action sequence was great. But yeah, I was thinking the same thing. The thing is roaring with a mouth that is taller than 3 houses stacked on top of each other. Not one of them thought to throw the grenade in its gullet.
Borgullet.
Like why didn't they do that? That I've seen other shows do that. That always seems to work. But no. Let's take our grenades. Where should we put it? In its mouth? Nah. Up its anus? Nah. Let's put it on its hard exterior shell. On its hard scales. Yeah, that's the best idea. Anyway, all right, what's next?
All right, next up is Aiden Foley. Bo-Katan is a big hypocrite. She puts down Din for the creation of Death Watch when she literally started the entire cult. What's this girl on about?
Listen, I don't know how they're going to go into, because look, this thing was clearly a cult, right? At least that's the way it's viewed on with the rest of the Mandalorians. What they haven't done a good job in this show yet is really defining, like, is this cult a 2% of the Mandalorian population joined this cult? Or is this cult like 40% of the Mandalorian remnant? I mean, that's going to be an interesting thing to see if they address as we move a little bit forward in there. As far as how much of a role she had to play in that becoming a thing, I don't really know. They haven't been clear about that, but I'm sure they'll probably get into that a little bit more as the episodes progress. All right, what's next?
All right, next up is Bert. This is crazy. I just looked this up. This is true. Joseph Shirley scores Mando and Creed 3 in the same week.
Is it not what's Gorgonson's first name?
Ludwig.
Yes, is Ludwig Gorgonson not composing season 3 of Mandalorian?
I believe he is, and then on IMDb, Joseph Shirley is also listed as a score programmer, additional music, and then for Creed 3, the composer.
Well, considering Ludwig did the original Creed and did Mandalorian, is he some kind of a acolyte of Ludwig Göransson? Is he kind of like an apostle of his, or?
You know what? People in the live chat are saying that Ludwig did not return for this season.
I mean, obviously he didn't. If this other guy is listed as a composer, obviously. So I wonder, though, since both Creed and Mandalorian were Ludwig Göransson's work, I wonder if he is like an apprentice of Ludwig's. I have no idea. I'm just kind of speculating since they're both connected. Mm-hmm. Interesting. All right, what's next?
All right, next up, Magnus Veratus sends in a $5 super chat.
Thank you,
just
Magnus.
To be supportive. Thank you so much. Then we have Murtaranta. Sorry if I butchered your name. Bo-Katan's planet, Kalevala. Oh my gosh, I'm doing great with this one. Is the same name as the Finnish national epic. Tuesday was National Day of that in Finland.
I had no idea. The only thing I know about Finland is that's the home of Jari Kurri, one of the greatest goal scorers in the history of the NHL, played wing on a line with the great Wayne Gretzky. Jari Kurri, ladies and gentlemen. Great. And Teemu Selanne. Yeah. who I believe Teemu Solani's nickname was the Finnish Flash, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Finland has created some great hockey players, but that's all I know about Finland, to be honest. All right, what's next?
All right, next up is Kevin Rubio. Is it too much to ask for a 3-act structure?
Apparently it is. Apparently it is. But you know what? Look, I don't believe that you need to be slavishly devoted to a 3-act structure. However, I will say that it seems to me like with 10 more minutes of runtime, that this is a story The Mandalorian could be served very well with a proper 3-act structure. I don't think 3-act structures is the be-all end-all and you have to do that and all that kind of stuff. But I think this is kind of a show that would benefit from it, Kev. Like, I 100% agree on that. All right, what's next?
From Matt Thornton. When this episode mentioned pirate, my first thought was Hondo, but alas, maybe in a future episode.
I'm going to say this. Hondo should never be in anything. This is a really annoying character. And the one big drawback of writing, what's the Millennium Falcon?
Smuggler's Run.
Smuggler's Run is the one big drawback of the Smuggler's Run ride at Disneyland, is that you have to just constantly listen to this horrifically annoying character. I think Hondo's a terrible character. Just don't. I know I pissed a lot of people off in the live chat saying that, but Hondo's an awful character. Just awful. Anyway, what's next?
Hondo Watch.
Hondo Watch.
Our final super chat of the day comes from Ryan Lohner. Too bad Mandalore didn't have a Monty Python to warn them about a sword-based system of government.
Some watery woman throwing knives and there's no basis for government? I mean, sir, it reminds me, listen, it reminds me a lot too of like Wakanda Forever, where, you know, the entire system of government in Wakanda is based on, if somebody wants to be the ruler of Wakanda, all you got to do is beat this other guy to death. And if you beat this other guy to death, you are our king or queen, as the case may be. Like, what if some kid stumbles across a darksaber in a bubblegum shop? Oh, you are the leader of Mandalore. Like, really? This was an advanced society? It seems like they should have a better system of government. You're right. The Monty Python crew would definitely have something to say about that. All right, guys. And that'll do it for this installment of our Mandalorian open spoiler after show, talking about Season 3, Episode 1. Again, I think this show is off to a strong start. Had a few things, had a few little nitpicks about it that were fun, but overall, they accomplished a lot in a very short period of time, setting up a lot of stuff to come, and I'm excited for the rest of the season. How did you guys feel about the episode? Go ahead and jump down into the comments section below and leave your thoughts there. Also, hey guys, don't forget, if you want to listen to this again in podcast form, we do have a podcast called Aftershow. So just search your favorite podcasting app of choice for Aftershow John Campea. You should be able to find our Aftershow podcast feed as well. So guys, for everybody in the room, Ray Aura, Taylor Gonzalez is over there. Don't forget to come back and join us again for the John Campea Show tomorrow. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.